What is up, everybody, and welcome back. I'm back. And I bring special guests. See, I put two fingers up. It's not the bathroom sign, people. I'm not going to the bathroom. Two means me and a special guest. Duh. But welcome back to the Scevoli show, guys. I have a very special guest. One of my favorite comic book artists. He does sketches. He's a podcaster. He does everything. He might mow your lawn for free, for a price, not for free. He
A
might mow your
price.
lawn for a
Yeah.
price, not for free. You know, he might. You never know what he does. But we have Rob on the show. I'm not going to say his last name because I feel like I'm going to butcher that. But he knows who he is. He knows
I
who
do
he
know
is.
who I am. At
There
least
you go,
at least
Rob.
a little bit. At least a little bit.
There you go. You might know by the end of this show, Rob. You're going to know who your true self is.
Maybe.
On the
Maybe. And
Scevoli
I might be
show.
terrified and run the other direction.
Hey, it's okay. Just leave the camera open. If we have to cut, I just have to talk. I'll just
There you
talk until you get back around your house.
Absolutely.
I got you, Rob. But how are you, my friend?
Doing okay. Doing okay. Every day is something new. So, some days are good, some days are bad, and today happens to be a good day.
Because you're here. You're welcome, Rob.
That hey, it's a big deal. I also had a cover release today that I'm very happy about. So, it's been a good day. Work my day job went good, no hiccups, no drama. So yeah.
Hey, sometimes, so if you got drama, I got you. I'm like I'm a mutant, so I'll come help you. All right,
Right
Rob?
on.
Just so you know, I'll come to the Carolinas and just go scurry down.
There you go.
I got you, man. But Rob, like I said in the beginning of the show, you are a very talented artist. You are one of my favorite artists. So what is your journey like as an artist? When did this start as, maybe a hobby first and then come into a real life job? How did that come into, when did you start your career as an awesome comic book and artist?
Honestly, art's been kind of part of my life since the beginning. Ever since I was a kid, I was always doodling, I was always drawing, painting, doing something, building shit with Legos, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like I was always wanting to make something. Even when I got older and especially into my teenage years, I remember buying a video camera to just record me and my friends doing dumb shit. It's all during that whole Jackass era and everything. And we would do skits and things like that. And I don't know. I've always been kind of comfortable just creating and drawing in general. And so I knew it was something I wanted to do. And I've told this story a few different times. But I remember very specifically in kindergarten, we had a career day where the teachers asked us like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And some kids would give the standard like, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a police officer, whatever. And I remember very specifically said, I want to draw comics. And I kind of knew I wanted to do that even at that age. And I tried different things. I worked in different aspects of like art. I was a tattoo artist for over 5 years. I have 2 degrees in graphic design. But it was about 11 years ago, December, where I decided, you know what? I just want to put myself out there in conventions and just see where it goes. And so about 4 years after that, 7 years ago, I made the decision of like, no, I want to really focus hardcore on comics. So ever since then, I've just been trying to hit up as many shows as I can, do as much work as I can, get my name out there as much as possible. Conventions are great in terms of wanting to like meet people and network, and because this is the entertainment industry, and as most people may or may not know, it really is who you know rather what you know. So like you can be an amazing creative, you can be an amazing writer, artist, but if you don't have the right connections, it doesn't really matter. And so that's kind of why I've always been out there to go forward with it. And there've been good times, there've been bad times, and things that almost wanted to make me stop. And then but I've been fortunate that at different points in my life, I'd had people who have uplifted me and supported me to like motivate me, keep going, don't give it up. And so I'm still at it, and I still love it. Despite how hard it can be sometimes, I still love it, and I'm gonna do it until I can no longer do it, in some way, shape, or form.
Until your hands stop giving.
Yes.
Now, like art, I love art. Like I have a lot of stuff. I know you don't see it in my room, but I have a lot of Star Wars art. I have a lot of X-Men art. I feel like it tells a story when you do art. Like you're telling a
Mhm.
story as you're drawing it, as you're writing it down, your ideas. So I know you went to how was first my first question to the for it is how was Wicked Comic Con in Boston? Because I
Oh,
know I know Jubilee was there. I know Sunspot was there. I know someone else was there. I think Jean Grey,
the voice of Jean Grey. Hmm.
But I want to know if you took a picture in front of that monument of a guy making all the X-Men. I don't know
I
if you.
actually, it's funny enough. It's funny you should say that. I did see that display, and I did take a photo of it, and it was actually pretty interesting. It was almost like I don't know how he did it, but it almost seemed like he was taking mannequins and kind of creating actual like life-size displays of these characters and everything, and he did it in the animated style, and they were very well put together. Wicked Con was good. It's always I did the show before. Boston, I really enjoy the city. To go visit and experience it and everything, and it was interesting the way they had everything laid out this year. They kind of tried to, it felt like they were trying to mix people together, so it wasn't like just one area of artists and just or like professionals, and then just one area of like vendors, and then just one area of like maybe like more local people. They kind of sprinkled everybody into different areas to sort of get a mix for it, and still got to experience it and see different people. And interestingly enough, on Sunday, the the musical group known as the Blue Man Group actually showed up at my table, and completely in character. They did not break, and I hung out for a while. I actually looked at my art, so I was like, "All right, Blue Man Group seems interested in my stuff." So yeah, that's my highlight.
You got to join their group now, Rob. You're one of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know
You're
if I
the
could shave.
Robin.
I don't know how they would feel about like the blue face, but still with the beard, because I'm afraid to shave.
I feel that. I'm a baby, so I baby face it. You know, I gotta do it. You know, I gotta look younger than everybody else. You know, I gotta be like the Kardashians without the plastic surgery. You know?
There you go.
I can't do it.
There you go.
But that's good. So did you meet Guy and Holly, the voice actors?
I did not. I didn't have time, unfortunately. The last time I got to meet anybody, as far as like with the voice cast, it was I was back in Chicago at C2E2 earlier this year, and I got to go actually meet Cal Dodd and got to talk with him for a bit. And 8-year-old me was so happy. Like, he was so cool. He was just super nice. He took the time to talk to me. I even apologized in advance. I said, I'm gonna get real nerdy on you. So like I want to apologize in advance. But I was like, I told him that I love him, and that his version of Wolverine is what I hear in my head when I read Wolverine in comics. It's just him. I said, you are for me what Kevin Conroy was for Batman. So it's like anytime I read Batman, it's Kevin Conroy. Anytime I read Joker, it's Mark Hamill. Anytime I read Wolverine, it's Cal Dodd. I told him about my favorite episode and the scene that he did, and I said the line verbatim of like what kind of sold me on him. And he told me a neat story about it, that apparently that was the scene that he actually auditioned with, and he had no idea anything about the character, and he was just kind of trying to feel it out. And then he did the scene to me in the voice, and like little me was like, "Oh, keep talking. I just want to hear forever." It was awesome. It was a great experience.
That's awesome. I haven't met any of them. I really want to meet like my favorites first. So like Jubilee, Sunspot, Morph.
Mm-hmm.
I love Morph. I'm Team Morph. They need a Funko Pop of him. I said on my page, we need a Funko Pop of Morph. Like, where is it, Funko?
I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming.
I hope so. Magneto is my all-time favorite X-Men. It just, his story is so like chilling.
I love Magneto. He's one of my favorite villains for sure.
Yeah, but I don't think he's a villain though.
Oh, he's a villain. He's still a villain. He might have tried to be good here and there, but he's a villain in the end.
He's definitely.
But he's, as I would argue, he's a justified villain.
Correct. I can agree with that. I can get on board with that. Yeah, yeah, Magneto. Oh, Magneto. I just laugh at him. I just love him, man. But that's good that you met Cal Dodd. Uh, so are you planning to meet any of the other casts?
If I have the time, I would love to. It's honestly when I'm at a con, I'm in work mode. There's very few times when I'm able to just kind of. I'll try to like squeeze in like a little bit of time to like get away, stretch my legs a little bit, so I'm not sitting all day. And I'll try to see like as much of the con as I can. I'll do like a quick couple like passes through, and then I'll come back, and a few hours later, I'll go to a different area of the con that I hadn't been to before, and I try to experience it as much as I can. But honestly, when I'm there, I don't really get a lot of leisure time. So it's a lot of like I'm sitting there, I'm working, I'm networking, meeting up with colleagues of mine that I hadn't seen in a while, catching up with them afterwards, going to business meetings. Sometimes I show up. Sometimes I have to do interviews, or I'll show up on podcasts. So like right after the show's over, I'll go do that. So it's very hectic. There's a misconception, I think, when I talk to some of my friends or people who know that I go to conventions. Like, oh, it's amazing, you get to go to XYZ city. That should be so much fun. You're gonna have a blast. And I'm like, it's work. I mean, honest, and it's work I love. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't trade anything for it. If I could do this nonstop and just this and not have to work a day job, I would do it in a heartbeat. I love traveling. I love getting to see people and meet new things. And I kind of like, I think even growing up in Long Island, I have that sort of New York fast-paced mentality. And so I like it. I like that whole go, go, go thing. It's very, it's satisfying. I feel like it gives me purpose.
Yeah, because it's very fast-paced. You're talking, and then you're talking for like 20 minutes, and it's an hour already. Like, oh my God. Like the cons go by so fast. It really is.
Oh yeah.
And especially the bigger ones like New York City Comic Con. Oh my God, your feet must kill you at the end of those 4 days.
Yeah, we're comfortable shoes to those for sure. I think the longest one, as far as like the most that puts the wear on your feet, in my opinion, is Dragon Con in Atlanta, because it's 5 days long.
Oh wow.
And it spans across 5 hotels around like 4 blocks. So yeah, for that one for sure, wear comfortable shoes.
Yeah, my feet hurt after New York. Even Rhode Island Comic Con, when I go, it hurts your feet. I want to like just bathe in salt water for a couple years, but I can't. But my next question to you, Rob, is: so when you're writing a comic, not like a comic artist, when you're doing art for a customer, or you're just doing it for fun, what is your mindset of it? Like, what is it? How am I can explain it? Because I explain it my way. Like how are you?
What's my approach?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Honestly, well, it depends. So if it's a client commission or something that like either like a publisher wants me to do or something like that, it's almost like an interview based process. So I'll sit down and I'll be like, okay, what do you want? Who do you want? Is it just a headshot? Is it a waist up? Is it a full body? Are we doing black and white? Are we doing full color? Is there going to be a splash of background? Is there going to be no background? All these different things. I try to take out as many details as possible. And honestly, that comes from my years of working as a tattoo artist in the tattoo industry, because it's a lot of that. You have to kind of break it down with people, when they come in, if they want a tattoo. Oh, you want a rose? Okay, great. What kind of rose? What color rose? Is it open? Is it closed? Is it going to have a name with it? So I kind of took that whole mentality and shifted it over to when it comes to comics, and it's the same thing. But no matter what, once I get the information, whether it's something that someone gives me or if it's just a piece I just want to do, I try to approach every piece I do as a single image that tells a bit of a story. And so it's not, and nothing against anybody who does like strictly pinup stuff or anything. I've done pinup stuff too, but I try to convey some sort of emotion or feeling behind everything I do, hopefully. And so that way, like, it's, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I try to take it and look at it this way. When I was younger, I was very intrigued with movie posters, and I love the way that they were designed and everything. And if a movie poster could tell a little bit of that movie story in that single image, I felt like it does its job. And so that's kind of what I do when I approach my artwork that I do too, especially if it's a cover, because I want to try and convey a little bit of what you can expect from the story within that image. And so that's just been my whole kind of view and approach on all these things is, can I tell at least a little bit of a story in one static image?
That's cool. Like it's you. Like I feel like with art, especially, it tells a story. You know, when you do it, even the art prints that they sell, like on Dark Ink or like Arkham Archives, you know, they tell a story. Slideshow, Bottleneck Gallery, I think it's Bottleneck Gallery. Like it tells a story. Like you look at it and goes, okay, we understand that. We got it. We got the story. But yeah, I like when things tell a story because it needs to be told. Like even what you're going through in life or what I'm going through, you know, it symbolizes that. I think for me, it symbolizes that. Like if I tell you, like, hey, Rob, I need a commission of, you know, Gambit, his last Remember It, you know, that scene. And that scene means so much because Gambit is like an ultimate favorite character in the X-Men. And I don't know why they killed him, but it's okay.
He's not dead. They'll bring him back. They'll bring him back. It's comics. They'll bring him back. No one stays dead except Uncle Ben.
No one does. Even with Wolverine and Deadpool, that movie was amazing, by the way. Amazing. But my next question to you, Rob, is, so your Nightcrawler print that you released actually at Wicked, right? Comic-Con? That's the first time
Wicked Comic-Con.
You ever released it. What was your mindset of making a Nightcrawler? Because I love Nightcrawler. As a little kid, I think he was like the awesomest thing ever. Like you just want to transport places. Like you just go and just transport with a tail. Like that's amazing. Oh yeah. So what was your mindset when you were doing the Nightcrawler thing?
Well, Nightcrawler's always been one of my favorites too. In fact, I don't think I've ever told this story before, but my brother and I, growing up, he's 3 years younger than me, but we both loved X-Men, especially growing up. The three comics that got me really hooked on X-Men were, or that got me hooked on comics in general, are X-Men, Spider-Man, and Ninja Turtles, which I got to give credit to my cousin for that because he kind of introduced me to all those. But especially like with the 90s show that came out and everything too, my brother and I, we like to try to sort of dress up as the characters or do what we could. Nightcrawler was always one of my favorites, especially with the X-Men arcade game, was really big and popular at the time too. So when we'd play pretend to like be these characters, and I took Scotch tape and I would tape my fingers together so it'd be like the three fingers. I made sure I wore socks and I did a part in the middle so it was like I had two toes, and then I tried to figure out what can I use as a tail. And I actually grabbed the NES controllers from out, and I would wrap it around my waist and hang out the back, and so the black cord would be my tail. I've been a big fan of Nightcrawler ever since I was a kid, and the original piece that I did for it, there's a convention that really started all my conventions, which is Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a very comic-heavy convention. And not only was it my first convention as an artist, but it was the first convention I ever went to, even just as a fan prior to that. So Heroes Con is very special to me. And what they do every year is they allow artists who are there to participate in an art auction. So you can either create a piece while you're there and donate it, or you can take the piece, do it in advance and bring it in, and then you can choose where you want the proceeds basically to go to.
Okay.
And so I wanted to do one in advance, and I think I had just finished watching X-Men 97, and I loved it so much. And Nightcrawler shined in this series like so much, and he was just on my mind, and I was just like, all right, I got to do Nightcrawler. And so I did the piece, and it was extremely positively well received. So many people were like, this is amazing. Are you going to make prints of this? Like all weekend long, all throughout even on the internet, like people were blowing me up. It's one of the few pieces out there I will say that I did where it was garnered like a lot of attention, which was awesome because I really loved how it came out, and I really loved the character too. So the original piece is its own standalone piece, but then I made sure I kept the scans of the inks and pencils, so I colored it digitally and decided to make a print of it. And I was like, hey man, what better time than at WickedCon to release it? So that's when it came out.
And you know what? Nightcrawler would approve of that. You know, Adrian Huff would approve of that. I actually sent it to Adrian. He loved it. On Instagram, I sent it to him.
Really?
Yeah, he liked it.
That's awesome.
What Adrian Huff does with Nightcrawler is amazing work. His voice, I think it gives what Nightcrawler should sound like. That.
Oh, you know, yeah. No, he did a great job.
Evolution, I liked his voice in Evolution. But I wasn't I was like, nah, I like it. I like Nightcrawler, so anything Nightcrawler was like totally in when it got introduced.
Yeah.
But I was like, the voice, it doesn't do it for me. But I like Adrian Huff's interpretation of like Nightcrawler. I love one of my favorite voice actors, Adrian Huff.
I agree. Yeah, no, he was great too, and I appreciate X-Men Evolution for what it was, but it wasn't really my thing. It was weird. It wasn't.
Like, I'm rewatching it now just to get like my like brain cells still working, and I'm like, why is it so slow? I was like, why? Like,
well, for me, it was hard to wrap my head around the fact that they're all teenagers except for Wolverine and Storm, who are the teachers, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, it was it was a little odd.
Yeah, and then Beast was a teacher.
Beast was a teacher too, which is weird because the founding X-Men were Beast, Cyclops, Jean, Iceman, and Angel, and I understand Iceman and Angel weren't in it, but I'm like, at least those three should still be the teachers, in my opinion.
Yeah, like, and then how you got like Kitty involved, Nightcrawler, like how you got them, like it explains it more in like 92, like it explains a more standout layout, because I was like, what's first, Evolution or 92? Like, what is like the chronological order for that?
Well, Evolution I think is just kind of its own thing. It's like a sort of like multiversal type thing. It's not really canon to one other thing. It's kind of like, and then Wolverine and the X-Men came out after that, and that was kind of its own thing.
Okay. So it really doesn't have. It's like their own multiverse. Really.
Yeah, it's their own multiverse, exactly.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, this doesn't add up. How is like Jean and Cyclops not in love yet? I was like, they should like each other in high school. What is going on?
Yeah, it's a whole. I think they just tried to take a different spin on it at the time,
and it didn't really reciprocate well.
I mean, I'm sure there's a fan base. I'm just
hey, I'll be part of that fan base.
It's just not for me.
Yeah, I like animation, but I didn't. I wasn't a big too keen on that. Mm. What did you think of the Wolverine and Deadpool movie?
So I had to watch it a few times, honestly. The first time it was a lot to unpack. Mm-hmm. And actually I remember I was in San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con, and it was me and a few other colleagues that went to go see it one night after the show. And it was a lot. And it was a lot to deal with and everything. And they asked me afterwards, they're like, how'd you feel about it? I was like, I'm gonna have to marinate on that for a minute. Because there's just a lot going on. Not that it was bad by any stretch, but it was just, I think it was just kind of content overload. And on top of that too, there's a part at the end of the movie which I won't spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but it's an interaction between Deadpool and Vanessa, and it's something that Deadpool says to Vanessa specifically that kind of, I wouldn't say triggered me, but it hit really close to home for some personal stuff that I've been dealing with for the last year and a half. And I think it messed me up a little bit emotionally and mentally. So I had to all right, I got to let it sit for a minute. Let me go back and watch it again. So I went and saw it another 2 times, and I enjoyed it so much more each time after, because I think I was watching it through a different lens. So I got to experience it in a different way. And then some of the jokes that I caught, I could just enjoy. And then I caught like some of the new stuff that I had missed the first time around. Overall though, and no comic book movie is perfect. I don't care what anyone says. No comic book movie is perfect, but this was a hell of a lot of fun. And if anything, I thought it was a very beautiful love letter and send off to the Fox Marvel universe.
Yeah, I think they're stepping away from like the older movies like Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix. And when you see that at the end, in the end credits, it's like it was like, okay, paid homage to it all, you know, the Storm, you know, all the characters that came before everything. And it's good because you know, it's hard to find actors and actresses to fit like the mutant world. You know what I mean? Like you just can't put anybody as like Storm. Like Storm has such a unique voice, like Allison Smith. does such a fantastic job with her voice. Like that's Storm to me. Like Rogue too. Like Rogue, like Lenore Zane, like she kills it with Rogue and her voice. It just sounds so like pure.
Yeah, I agree. But even when you were talking like with Gambit earlier, and honestly, like I like that there can be different takes. Like, and this isn't a spoiler because it's all over the internet at this point. But like Channing Tatum, who gets to play Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine, like I really loved his take. Like it was like hardcore Cajun, and I'm just, and I mean, obviously, yes, some humor sprinkled in because it's Deadpool. You can't have Deadpool movie without like some jokes. But like I honestly, like even when I remember when they first talked about him being Gambit, possibly being Gambit years ago, and doing a Gambit standalone movie, I was like, Channing Tatum, I don't know. But I honestly, like I thought he did a great job, and to his credit, and to be fair, I said the same thing about Heath Ledger as the Joker when I first heard he was going to be cast. I was like, really? The guy from 10 Things I Hate About You? They're going to make him the Joker? And he killed it. And Channing Tatum killed it. And I thought I really loved his interpretation of Gambit. And I love the X-Men 97 version too. So, and even the one before that in the 92 version.
Yeah.
Because even though 97's, technically a continuation, they still, I think they adjusted characters a little bit, and not in a bad way at all. And so I really like every version of it and out there, and I think that they're making some interesting choices and everything. And so I'll be really curious to see as these movies progress who they hire as this new cast to be the MCU mutants and everything.
Yeah, but it's gonna be fun. We know Wolverine's Hugh Jackman. So we know
perhaps we'll see.
Yeah, Henry Cavill did a pretty good job. Spoiler.
He did. Just for his brief appearance. He's a very bulky dude, so he's not necessarily someone I would see play Wolverine long term. But honestly, if Marvel was decided to go like, no, he's the new Wolverine, I'd be like, I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay with it.
And it's Henry Cavill,
Yeah.
We can't get disappointed with that one.
Yeah.
Now, who do you think would play like a good like actor for Cyclops?
Oh, that's tough. I don't know, because honestly, like I've never been a huge fan of Cyclops, and X-Men 97 completely changed that. The very first episode, very first scene, everybody's jumping out of the damaged Blackbird. Everybody has some sort of like air transport to get down. And he's like, no, I got this. And he just Captain America Winter Soldiers right out, no parachute. And I'm like, what is going on? And the fact that they made him cushion his fall with his optic blast, I'm like, holy shit, this is who Cyclops is supposed to be. And like they made him this like really just great sort of leader and everything like that too. Honestly, I'm not sure who I would pick to play him. Perhaps maybe off the top of my head, and I don't even know if he's young enough to carry on the role, because most of these roles have to be carried on forever. But I wouldn't mind seeing John Hamm as Cyclops. I think John Hamm could make a good Cyclops.
I can see that. What about? I'll ask you one more. Who for Storm?
Oh,
that's a tough one.
That's really tough. That's absolutely, and I understand she already plays another MCU role, but I think Lupita Nyong'o would be good as Storm. Like she would really be good. I know she's already in the Black Panther universe, but man, I'd have to think about that one though. I have to think about Storm.
Yeah, because Storm's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. You got to give somebody who can have sort of like a commanding presence, like somebody who can be soft and gentle. Really, someone who's kind of like the wind. And she is the Wind Rider. She's the goddess. Somebody who can be soft and gentle like a breeze, but also can be terrifying like a tornado and a hurricane. And like you need somebody who kind of can fit both of that with Storm.
And I don't think Halle Berry, no offense to her, she wasn't a good Storm. Like she didn't bring that command.
They just didn't do enough with her. And and honestly, they didn't really get to showcase her. I wish they would have shown her more like they've done in the animated show, where she's flying more, she's hurling lightning bolts and things like that too.
Badass haircut.
The badass haircut. Again, the very first episode when she comes down and she uses lightning to turn the sand in the desert to glass, and then shatters it with tornadoes and just throws it. I'm like, that's who Storm is. Like that's who she should be. Show that kind of intensity. And I understand it's animated, but Hollywood. You've got the ability to make these effects. Let's do this.
And even Deadpool knows X-Men 97 is the best thing ever. It beats the movie.
Yeah.
Even Hugh Jackman too knows it. I love Ryan Reynolds, man. I love Deadpool.
I want to be friends in real life. I really wish I could. It'll be like, Ryan, can we be friends? Ryan, if you're watching this, can we be friends?
Can we be friends? Can we both? Me and Rob will clean your underwear. We will clean it.
He'll take the underwear. I'll take the socks.
Yeah, I'll take one for the team. I'll take for the team, Rob. So Rob, my next question is top 3 favorite X-Men characters and why?
Oh, this is tough. So if we're talking like strictly like heroes or a mix of villains and heroes.
Anything. Whoever means something to you, like in your personal life, because I always based off characters, like what I'm going through in life. You know what I mean? Like,
honestly, my personal favorite, and I know it's probably cliche, but it's Wolverine. Wolverine's always been my personal favorite, and honestly, I think for me, it really had a love for Wolverine even before he had more of his origin told. He was more of a mystery. Nobody really knew what was going on with him, with the experiments that went on with him, what his real name might be, what his past is. I think that was kind of intriguing. But really, what always kind of captured me about Wolverine is that he's flawed. He is in constant pain, but yet he's still, and he can be a terrible person. He can be a monster too, if he gets pushed to that point. But if he loves and he cares about you, like, he will do everything he can to try to save you and protect you. And I think, kind of feels that guilt or that burden. And so he like kind of strives to be alone. And so that's why he has that sort of lone wolf mentality. But I think it's also because every time he tries to find peace with those he loves gets hurt. And so it's like, well, I don't want to be around them because if I am, I'm going to hurt them. And so that's why I think he always just resonated with me so much too. Because I've always, even growing up, I felt like an outcast. I felt like a stranger. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I was always a problem, even later into life too. And I think that's why I relate to Wolverine so much, which also in turn, I will say, ties into Nightcrawler, because Nightcrawler, he inherently tries to do good. He tries to be good. His character is also, a Catholic priest. So he preaches, the Christian word of God and everything like that too, which doesn't necessarily reflect me, but I love the whole duality that he looks like a demon, but he is one of the gentlest, kindest people. But because of his outward appearance, people judge him by how he looks prior to then who he is.
Correct.
And if I had to pick a third, and this is tough, if I had to pick a third, honestly, I'd have to give it a tie. And I'd have to tie it up between both Jean Grey and Magneto. And it's really just because they're both examples, I guess, along with Wolverine as well, but examples of like what trauma can do to you and how it can change you. And in Magneto's case, because going through as a Jew through the Holocaust and being imprisoned in Auschwitz with his family, and what that can do to someone's mind and how it can change their perception of how they view the world and people in general. And then with Jean, especially, she always tried to be there for everything and put everybody and herself first. And then when she got possessed by the Phoenix Force and it was able to, in its rawest form, experience human emotion the first time, and just to see how extreme to go from both sides and everything, and watching her journey of constantly like overcoming all odds and everything too. She's kind of inspiring as a character. And so that's why she would make my list as well. I know that was a long ass ramble to talk about the ones I like, but yeah, I could probably go on for days.
It's all right. We have days. Don't worry. We might not have the time, but we have days, Rob. We got days. So my final question to you, Rob, is, so if anybody out here is listening to this show or watching it, what is that one piece of advice you can give that artists or comic book artists or podcaster or like me that's doing this, that wants to do this for a living or stuff like that, wants to do something fun, what is that piece of advice that you can give that kid, woman, boy, whatever, about that?
Honestly, the biggest advice that I can give is if you love it, keep doing it. But don't do it for the money. Do it because you love it. There may not always be money connected to it. Lord knows that there have been really great rewards and there have been very shitty times. Right now, actually, is even a time where I'm struggling and it's not easy. And it's causing me to rethink how I want to approach things in the future. Now, if I can figure out a way to turn things around and make it better, I'll continue on this path. And it's always an evolution, though, and that's, I think, what needs to be understood. It's always an evolution. It's always about making tweaks, making adjustments, doing things differently, holding on to what works, holding on to what is profitable, and I don't mean just monetarily, but just in your own life, what brings positive results. And just keep holding on to that, keep doing it. Attach yourself to the people in your life that will support you, whether they are family, friends, or fans. Use that as the motivation. If you have kids and everything, use that as motivation. And in the end, understand that you're gonna get rejection. There are people who are gonna tell you that they don't like your stuff, they don't like your content, whether you create art, whether you are a writer, director, actor, podcaster, YouTuber, whatever. There's not everybody's gonna like what you do, and that's fine. And I think that's an important thing too, is that yes, it's important to grow a thick skin, but understand that it's okay that not everybody's going to like your stuff, and you're not meant for everybody, and that's totally fine. There's so much content out there that it's fine, but for every person that doesn't like your stuff, there is somebody who does. So do it because you love it. Engage with those who support and love you, and try to weather that storm. And if it's I will leave it by probably butchering this quote, but I'm going to quote Seth Rogen or paraphrase him, and something he said, which sort of rings true, and that the only difference that he's ever seen between someone who succeeds and someone who doesn't is that someone who succeeds keeps trying, and someone who doesn't stops trying. And in the end, that's all it is just if you try, you may succeed. And if you stop trying, you definitely won't. And that's really all there is to it.
Let's give Rob his Emmy, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it.
But Rob, thank you so much for coming on the Scevoli show, guys. Rob, you're amazing. Thank you for being awesome and doing your awesome comic book art and being an artist. You do such a great job. I can't wait to see more work from you. Definitely going to get my hands on that Nightcrawler print. I got to do it for the clout, like I said.
There you go.
Do it for you, Rob. And then the sketch, you have so much sketches up on your site. So, guys, I will put the links in the bio to check out Rob's art, his Instagram, his store page, the commissions. He does commissions. He has comic book covers up there. He just did an amazing Rogue one. That's up there now. I love Rogue, one of my favorite characters. But Rob, where can everybody find you on the social media so they can follow you? But I will definitely put all the links in the bio.
Oh man, you can find me on so many places because I'm in way too many. You can find me on Instagram at my name at Rob Retiano. You can find me on Facebook, same thing. You can find me on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it at That Guy Draws. You can find me TikTok under my name. It's either under my name or under at That Guy Draws. It's usually either one or the other. I'm on Kara, I'm on Threads, I'm on Blue Sky. I said, like we were talking before the show starts, I'm on Fortnite, so find me on Fortnite and That Guy Draws. You can kind of find me all over the place right now.
That's awesome. That's a lot.
It is. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know how you must be going through apps and apps every minute. Like, okay.
Thankfully I have a team that assists me too, but yeah, it's a lot. Oh, and I'm about to get back into streaming, so you'll find me more on Twitch and on YouTube too.
Oh wow, Rob's coming for the gauntlet.
I just don't sleep. That's the thing. I just stay awake. I don't sleep at all.
You need sleep, Rob. I need some sleep. I'm mentally exhausted. Um, but thank you, Rob, so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time. You're welcome to come back and talk X-Men with me anytime. Thank you
Absolutely.
guys. Thank you guys for joining us on the Scevoli show, guys. Be sure to subscribe down below to the YouTube channel. Like I said in my previous videos, there will be a change. The time has come for a new galactic empire. But it's not going to be the Empire, you know? Well, I'm not Sidious, I'm not Palpatine, you know? I can't really change it, you know? But I can. I can.
Well, to quote Palpatine, do it.
Do it. Yeah, right? There you go. He knows what I'm talking about. He knows it. But guys, be kind to one another, and may the Force be with you, my friends. To me, my X-Men. Bye!
In my life, when you find people who need your help, you help them, no matter what.